Dune 2021 is the adaptation of a really big book that I have not read, that so many people have read, that I've heard is actually really boring, but, you know, it is what it is. This is Denis Villeneuve's film that he made. It came out in 2021, right after the pandemic, when they announced, hey, we're going to put everything on HBO Max the exact same day that it comes out in theaters, killing our box offices and killing cinemas. So yeah, that's this movie. And I remember seeing this movie in a theater. I did. It was Micon Cinemas, Eau Claire, theater number 1, their biggest screen. I made sure it was at that screen, because there's other screens in Micon Cinemas that are smaller. This is the big one. So I did make sure it was that particular screen, the biggest one I could find in that area. I rewatched it now last night in IMAX. I had not seen this movie in IMAX. First time seeing it. I'll be honest, going into this movie for the second time, I couldn't remember anything. I essentially remember people who died in the movie. Cast members who had died in the movie and stuff like that. Well, you know, not cast members who had died, but like characters. I'm trying to get a decent picture in here, but, you know, Cody sucks at this. So that's really what I remember, is people who had died. I really remembered nothing else. The movie started and I went, I also remember Zendaya barely being in this movie, and that is 100% the truth. She's in the movie for like 30 seconds. And that's about it. I'm trying to be comfortable here, and it's just not working for me. So yeah, that was all about what I remembered about this movie. I also remembered that I thought it was good. It was a good movie. It was a little too much for my teeny tiny brain. I like science fiction. I don't love science fiction. This is hardcore science fiction. This is a science fiction movie for sure. And that doesn't always work for me. When you have, you know, these planets and such like that, it's a lot. I like Star Wars. I don't love Star Wars. So that's just a little bit about me and what my experience was. And I had not watched this movie since it came out, and seeing it back in IMAX, look, it is absolutely gorgeous. It is so beautifully shot. The cinematography in this is wonderful. The sound design is wonderful. The special effects are wonderful. The sandworms, when you see them, are so freaking cool. Yeah, what else? I mean, there's so many positives. The score is incredible. Hans Zimmer did such a great job. The acting is wonderfully done. The action looks great. The production design, great. Everything about this movie is great, for the most part. For me, what really bugs me about this movie is I don't give a flying flip about a single one of these people. I couldn't tell you anything about any of these characters. I know Timothée Chalamet's character is the son of royalty, basically, and he's got some powers from his mom, who was a witch, or is a witch, or something like that. Jason Momoa is Jason Momoa. Oscar Isaac is the leader. Josh Brolin is a stern military kind of man. That's all I got. I mean, Rebecca Ferguson's a witch mom, protecting her son. That's all I got from this. As far as characterization goes, I don't care about these people. Maybe I will more in the second part, but I mean, they're all very serious and it's just melodramatic. And I get it. That's kind of what they're supposed to be, because it's a very serious kind of thing and yada, yada, yada. But it's kind of dull for me. I'm not going to lie. It does make me just not care too much about the characters. This movie is just kind of dull, in my opinion. Is it beautiful science fiction? Absolutely. Is there, again, beautiful everything? Yes. But I do find this movie to be kind of boring. I don't find this movie rewatchable at all. Again, this is the second time having watched it since it came out almost 3 years ago. I just didn't care for it that much. Again, it looks incredible. You can tell everyone involved cares. There's some really cool, you know, stuff here. And, like, the villain played by Stellan Skarsgård... Is it Stellan? I think it's Stellan Skarsgård. I forget which Skarsgård it is. One of the Skarsgårds. Daddy Skarsgård. That sounds weird. Anyways, he's great. He's menacing. At the end of the day, I just don't care about him. Like, I don't know. And it's kind of a drug lord movie where they need spice. You know, it's kind of simple for it being such this big, epic craziness. But at the end of the day, it's a spice. I don't know. I don't love this movie. Don't get me wrong. It's a great movie. And I completely understand why anyone would love this movie. You know, it's just, for me, it's a little too not high concept. It's too science fiction-y for me. These Atreides and the Accretes and the whatever they're saying, it's too much for me. I will say this, though. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this in IMAX. It was absolutely incredible. It's such a beautiful-looking movie. And I will be there day one, or at least the first day that I can get to it, because it'll probably be on a Saturday that I can see Dune Part 2. I will be there to see it in IMAX. They showed a sneak peek of Dune Part 2. They showed actually the scene that you see part of in the trailer of, what's his name, Paul riding his first sandworm. So that is something I did get to see in IMAX. It looks freaking incredible. Just so freaking incredible. But again, I don't know. I don't care about these. I don't care about these characters. I don't care about these characters yet. So I'm interested to see how I'll feel about Dune Part 2. That's the other thing I also will say about this movie. It 100% is just a Part 1. Like, it just ends. And it's like, okay. So, yeah, okay. Now we're going to wait 3 years for this. So, yeah. It's not a bad movie by any means. It's just not a movie that I particularly love. Completely understand, again, if someone loves this movie, completely understand. What is that? Oh, it's my finger. I completely understand why someone would like this movie. I don't. Love it. I think it's good. I think I've watched it once. And now I've watched it twice. Just because I wanted to watch it in IMAX, really. That was really, well, and I wanted to rewatch it before the second one comes out. But I honestly feel like I'm going to forget a lot of things that happened in this movie in the 2 weeks leading up to seeing the second one. So, yeah, I just find this a little bit forgettable, a little bit boring, a little bland, but it is such a beautiful looking movie that I have to give it some credit. I give this movie like a 7 out of 10. I don't hate this movie by any means. It's just one of those. I was listening to the Wangers podcast actually this last week, or I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. And they were talking about how Dune is one of those boring blockbusters. And I 100% agree with that statement. It is a boring blockbuster. And it's great. I'm glad we have boring blockbusters because it is a beautiful movie. And I am excited for Part 2. I feel like Part 2 is going to make me like this one a little bit more. I feel like in a couple weeks, I might be saying Dune 1 is an 8 out of 10 instead of a 7 out of 10. We'll see, though. So, yeah, guys, go ahead and start commenting down below how I'm freaking crazy and that this movie is like a 10 out of 10. I personally just think it's a 7 out of 10. But, you know, again, go ahead and start commenting about below. I hope you guys have yourself a great night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and we will see you next time.